Good evening, dear listener. As the world quiets and the stars begin to peek through the velvet sky, I invite you to settle into a moment of calm. Picture yourself in a tranquil cloister, where the soft rustle of leaves dances with the faint chime of a distant bell. Imagine moonlight spilling over ancient stone walls, casting gentle shadows across a garden of herbs, their scent mingling with the cool night air. Let the day's worries slip away, like water through your fingers, and join me on a journey into a world both distant and intimate. Tonight, we step into the life of a medieval nun in a 12th century convent, a place of flickering candles and whispered prayers. This isn't a tale of grand battles or royal courts, but a quiet story of resilience, where every day tests the body and spirit. Through the rhythm of prayer, the weight of coarse wool, and the small, secret rebellions that spark in the silence, you'll feel the texture of a life shaped by faith and sacrifice. So, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let's walk together into the convent's stone halls, where history hums softly in the shadows. Part 1. You stand at the threshold of a 12th century convent, the air heavy with the scent of damp stone and beeswax. The world outside, its clamor of market vendors, the clatter of hooves, the laughter of children, fades as the massive oak doors groan shut behind you. A soft thud echoes, sealing you into this new life. The evening is quiet, save for the distant trill of a nightingale, and the faint rustle of your coarse wool cloak brushing the flagstones. You're here, not entirely by choice, but because your family deemed it so. A dowry for a convent is cheaper than one for a husband, and besides, they whisper, it's a life of virtue. You're not so sure. The candlelit corridor stretches before you, shadows flickering like uncertain thoughts. Good evening, dear listener. Imagine yourself here, in this moment, as the medieval world hums softly beyond these walls. Let's walk together into the life of a nun, where every step is a lesson in endurance. Your shoes, thin worn, click faintly on the cold floor as you follow Sister Agnes, a stooped woman with eyes like polished flint. She doesn't speak, only gestures for you to keep pace. The convent smells of mildew and incense, a strange marriage of decay and devotion. You pass a small courtyard where moonlight spills over a stone fountain, its water glinting like liquid silver. It's beautiful, in a stark way, but there's no time to linger. Sister Agnes leads you to a narrow chamber, your new home. A wooden cot, a straw mattress, a single blanket folded with military precision. You run your fingers over the rough weave, already missing the linen sheets of your childhood bed. Luxury is a sin, Agnes mutters, her voice low and gravelly, as if she's quoting a rule she's long since memorized. You nod, though your stomach twists. This is your first taste of the convent's austerity, and it's bitter. The next morning, you're roused before dawn by a bell's insistent clang. Your breath clouds in the chilly air as you stumble into the chapel for matins, the first of 8 daily prayers. The other nuns are already there, their faces half hidden by wimples, their voices weaving a low, hypnotic chant. You try to mimic their posture, hands clasped, head bowed, but your knees ache against the stone floor. The chapel is a cavern of shadows, lit only by a few tallow candles that sputter and drip. The air smells of wax and something faintly sour, like unwashed wool. You're handed a psalter, its pages brittle and stained, and told to follow along. The Latin words blur before your tired eyes. You wonder if anyone notices you're just moving your lips. Probably not. They're too busy praying for their own souls. The rules come fast and unrelenting. You learn them through Sister Agnes's sharp glances and the other nuns' whispered corrections. No speaking unless necessary. No looking at outsiders. No personal possessions beyond your habit and a small wooden cross. You're told to surrender your old clothes, a final shedding of your former self. As you hand over your embroidered shawl, your mother's gift, you feel a pang, like losing a piece of your heart. The convent's rules are rooted in the rule of Saint Benedict, a 6th century text that governs every aspect of monastic life. Historians note that by the 12th century, Benedictine convents enforced these regulations with increasing rigor, especially for women, who were seen as more prone to worldly temptation. You're not sure if that's true, but the weight of expectation presses down like a stone. There's a peculiar detail, though, that catches your attention. The nuns wear a small iron ring on their left hand, a symbol of their marriage to Christ. You're given one, too, and it's heavier than it looks, pinching your skin as you slide it on. You overhear a younger nun, Sister Beatrice, whisper that some nuns secretly polish their rings with beeswax to make them shine. A tiny act of vanity frowned upon by the prioress. You smile to yourself. Already, you're learning the convent's unspoken quirks. It's a small rebellion, but it feels human, a reminder that even here, in this place of sacrifice, people find ways to be themselves. You tuck that thought away, like a pebble in your pocket. The days begin to blur, each one a rhythm of prayer, work, and silence. You're assigned to scrub the refectory floor, your hands reddening in the cold water. The soap, made from animal fat, smells faintly of slaughter, and you gag the first time you use it. You think of your modern life, dishwashers, scented detergents, the hum of a washing machine. Here, every task is a test of patience. You wonder how you'll survive years of this, let alone a lifetime. Yet there's a strange calm in the repetition, like the steady drip of water wearing down stone. The convent is designed to grind away your edges, to make you part of something larger. You're not sure you like it, but you're starting to understand it. Scholars still debate whether the strict rules of 12th century convents were meant to protect nuns or control them. Some argue the structure offered women safety and purpose in a violent world. Others say it was a cage dressed up as salvation. You feel the truth lies somewhere in between, but you're too tired to ponder it deeply. By your third day, you're already dreaming of escape, not a dramatic flight, just a quiet walk back to the village, where you could eat warm bread and laugh without fear of a reprimand. But the doors are locked, and the walls are high. You're here, for better or worse. Here's a gentle jest to lighten the mood. You imagine telling Sister Agnes that her wimple looks like a particularly grumpy cloud. She'd probably make you scrub the latrines for a month. Another thought, you wonder if the convent's bells are rung by an overzealous nun who secretly loves the noise. And one more, the Psalter's Latin feels like trying to decode a medieval captcha. All squiggles and guesswork. You stifle a chuckle, knowing laughter is another luxury you can't afford. As you lie on your cot that night, the straw poking through the thin mattress, you listen to the wind whistling through the cloister. It's a lonely sound, but there's a beauty in it, like a lullaby for the forgotten. You pull the blanket tighter, your iron ring catching on the coarse fabric. The convent is tough, no question, but it's also a world unto itself, a place where time moves differently. You're not sure if you'll ever belong here. But for now, you close your eyes and let the darkness carry you to sleep. Part 2. You wake to the same relentless bell, its clang slicing through the pre-dawn chill. Your cot creaks as you rise, the straw mattress leaving imprints on your skin. The dormitory is a sea of shadows, the other nuns moving like ghosts in their white shifts. You pull on your habit, the coarse wool scratching your shoulders, and adjust your wimple with clumsy fingers. The iron ring on your hand feels heavier today, a reminder of vows you barely understand. Outside, the wind hums softly, carrying the scent of frost and wood smoke. Good evening, dear listener, settle in, imagine the flicker of candlelight on stone walls. And let's wander deeper into this convent's quiet, unyielding world. Today, you learn the vow of silence, a rule that wraps the convent in an eerie hush. Sister Agnes explains it in her clipped, no-nonsense way. Speech is a distraction, a tether to the worldly life you've left behind. You're to speak only when necessary, during prayers, confessions, or when addressed by a superior. Even then, your words must be few and purposeful. You nod, but the idea feels suffocating, like being asked to hold your breath for years. The silence begins at once, and you notice it immediately. The absence of chatter, the way footsteps echo in the cloister, the faint clink of a spoon against a bowl. It's not peaceful, not yet. It's a weight, pressing on your chest. You move through the morning prayers, your lips forming Latin phrases you've memorized but don't fully grasp. The chapel's air is thick with the smell of wax and old parchment. The candles casting long shadows on the walls. You glance at Sister Beatrice, the young nun with the polished ring, and catch her stifling a yawn. You almost smile. But a sharp look from the prioress snaps you back to attention. The silence follows you to the refectory, where breakfast is a silent affair, a hunk of rye bread, hard as a stone, and a cup of watered ale. You chew slowly, the bread's grit catching in your teeth. You think of modern breakfasts, fluffy pancakes, steaming coffee, and the thought feels like a small betrayal. The vow of silence isn't just a rule, it's a way of life, codified in the Rule of Saint Benedict, which by the 12th century was the backbone of monastic communities across Europe. Historians point to a key event in this era, the Second Lateran Council of 1139, which tightened regulations on religious orders, emphasizing silence as a tool for spiritual focus. For nuns, this was especially strict, as church authorities believed women's voices carried a particular risk of temptation. You feel that scrutiny now in the way Sister Agnes watches you. As if your very thoughts might break the sacred quiet. You wonder if silence is meant to elevate your soul or simply keep you in line. There's a quirky detail, though, that softens the severity. You notice the nuns have developed a kind of secret language, hand signals, subtle nods, even the occasional raised eyebrow. During Vespers, Sister Beatrice flicks her fingers to warn you your wimple is slipping. Later, in the cloister, another nun taps her nose to signal the kitchen stew is particularly bad today. These gestures are forbidden, of course, but they're a lifeline, a way to connect in a world where words are rationed. You try a signal yourself, pointing to your shoe to ask if it's untied. And Beatrice responds with a quick nod. It feels like a tiny victory, a crack in the convent's armor. The silence shapes your days, but it also sharpens your senses. You hear things you never noticed before, the creak of a wooden beam, the drip of water in the courtyard, the rustle of a mouse in the chapel's rafters. You smell the damp earth through an open window, the faint tang of herbs from the garden. But it's exhausting, too. By midday, your head aches from the effort of not speaking, not reacting, not existing too loudly. You think of your old life, of shouting to your siblings across a field, of singing as you spun wool. Those memories feel like dreams now, fragile and distant. Scholars still debate whether the vow of silence was a spiritual discipline or a form of control. Some argue it freed nuns from worldly distractions, letting them focus on God. Others say it was a way to suppress individuality, especially for women in a male-dominated church. You feel both sides of this argument in your bones. The silence is calming, in a way. But it also makes you feel invisible. You wonder how long you can endure it before you forget the sound of your own voice. Let's pause for a gentle jest. You imagine whispering to Sister Beatrice that the prioress's wimple looks like a sail ready to catch the wind. She'd probably choke on her bread. Another thought, you wonder if the convent's mice have their own vow of silence, scurrying so quietly they outdo the nuns. And one more, the hand signals feel like a medieval text message. All secrecy and shorthand. You bite your lip to keep from laughing, knowing even a giggle could earn you a penance. As the day ends, you kneel in the chapel for Compline, the final prayer. The candles have burned low, their light pooling on the floor like spilled gold. The silence feels different now, not oppressive, but vast, like a sea you're learning to navigate. You glance at the other nuns, their faces softened by exhaustion, and feel a flicker of kinship. You're all in this together, bound by rules you didn't write. You lie on your cot that night, the iron ring cold against your skin, and listen to the wind outside. It's a lonely sound, but it carries a promise. Tomorrow, you'll find a way to endure. For now, you close your eyes and let the convent's quiet carry you into sleep. Part 3. You're jolted awake by the bell's sharp clang, the sound cutting through the darkness like a blade. It's still night. Or so it feels, the air in the dormitory so cold your breath hangs in faint clouds. You swing your legs off the cot, the straw mattress crackling under you, and fumble for your habit. The wool is stiff, unyielding, and smells faintly of damp stone, just like everything else in this convent. You adjust your wimple, fingers numb, and shuffle toward the chapel for matins. The first prayer of the day. Outside, the wind whispers through the cloister, carrying the scent of frost and pine. Good evening, dear listener. Picture yourself here, under a starlit sky. The world hushed except for the soft tread of nuns' feet. Let's slip deeper into this life, where time bends under the weight of prayer. Matins begins in the chapel, a cavern of flickering shadows and cold stone. You kneel, knees pressing into the flagstones, and join the chant, your voice a shaky thread in the tapestry of Latin. The Divine Office. The cycle of 8 daily prayers is the heartbeat of the convent, and you're learning its rhythm. Matins before dawn, lauds at sunrise, prime, terce, sext, none, vespers, and compline. Each prayer is a marker, dividing your day into fragments of devotion. You're exhausted already, your eyes gritty from lack of sleep. The candles sputter, their wax pooling like tiny lakes. And the air smells of tallow and old wood. You think of modern life, snooze buttons, cozy blankets, and the thought feels like a guilty indulgence. The Divine Office isn't just a schedule. It's a sacred obligation, rooted in centuries of tradition. By the 12th century, the Benedictine rule had standardized these prayers across monasteries, ensuring every nun and monk in Europe marked time the same way. Historians point to a key event, the Cistercian reforms of the early 1100s, which emphasized stricter adherence to the office, stripping away embellishments to focus on simplicity. For you, though, it's not simple. It's relentless. You stumble over the Psalms, your Latin rusty, and earn a frown from Sister Agnes. You wonder if you'll ever memorize the verses or if you'll spend years pretending to know them. There's a peculiar detail that catches your eye amidst the monotony. The nuns, forbidden from speaking, have honed a silent language of gestures to navigate the chapel's demands. During lauds, Sister Beatrice flicks her wrist to signal you've turned to the wrong page in the Psalter. Another nun, older and sharp-eyed, taps her chin to warn the group to sing softer. These signs are a secret code, passed down through generations of nuns, and you're starting to learn them. You try one yourself, pointing to your ear to ask if the chant's pitch has shifted. Beatrice nods, her lips twitching in what might be a smile. It's a small rebellion against the silence, and it feels like stealing a sip of forbidden wine. The prayers stretch on, each one bleeding into the next. By terce, mid-morning, your knees ache, and your stomach growls, loud enough to make you flush. The other nuns don't react. They're used to this, their bodies trained to ignore hunger, cold, fatigue. You're not there yet. You think of the refectory, where lunch will be another round of tough bread and watery stew. You remember Sister Beatrice's hand signal about the stew being bad. Does that mean it's worse than usual? The thought almost makes you laugh, but you swallow it, knowing a giggle would mean scrubbing pots as penance. You focus on the chant instead, letting its cadence lull you into a trance. The chapel's beauty helps, in a strange way. The stained glass window, a rare splash of color, catches the morning light, casting flecks of red and blue across the floor. It's a scene of Mary, her hands raised in prayer, and you wonder if she ever felt as tired as you do. The air smells of incense now, a faint sweetness cutting through the mustiness. You notice small details. A spider weaving a web in the rafters, the way the candle's flames sway in unison, as if breathing. These moments anchor you, keeping you from drowning in the endless cycle of prayer. You think of modern meditation apps, their soothing voices guiding you to breathe. Here, the only guide is the bell, and it never lets you rest. Scholars still debate whether the Divine Office was a spiritual lifeline or a form of discipline. Some argue it gave nuns structure and purpose, a way to transcend the chaos of the medieval world. Others say it was a tool to exhaust and control, leaving no room for independent thought. You feel both truths in your aching body. The prayers are a kind of music, but they also chain you to the convent's rhythm. You wonder how long you can keep this up before you collapse or, worse, forget who you are. Here's a soft jest to ease the weight. You imagine telling Sister Agnes the Psalms sound like a medieval karaoke session gone wrong. She'd probably assign you extra prayers for a week. Another thought, you wonder if the chapel's spider is the only one here ignoring the vow of silence, spinning its web with quiet defiance. And one more. The hand signals feel like a secret club's handshake, making you an accomplice in the nuns' subtle rebellion. You press your lips together, hiding a smile. As Compline ends, you file out of the chapel, the night air sharp against your face. The cloister is silent, save for the wind rustling the ivy. You're bone-tired, your body heavy with the day's prayers. But there's a strange calm in the exhaustion. You glance at Sister Beatrice, who offers a quick hand signal, a thumb flicked upward, a gesture of encouragement. It's enough to keep you going. You lie on your cot, the iron ring cold against your finger, and listen to the distant hoot of an owl. The convent is a hard place, but it's teaching you to notice the small things, the flicker of a candle, the warmth of a shared glance. For now, you close your eyes and let the quiet carry you into dreams. Part 4. You wake to the familiar bell, its clang a rude intrusion into the fragile warmth of your dreams. The dormitory is frigid, the air biting at your fingertips as you fumble for your habit. The wool feels heavier today, its rough fibers scraping against your skin like a penance you didn't choose. You tug it on, wincing as it settles over your shoulders, and adjust your wimple. The cloth pinching at your ears. The iron ring on your finger catches the dim light, a cold reminder of your vows. Outside, the dawn is gray. The cloister garden dusted with frost that glints like scattered pearls. Good evening, dear listener. Settle into this quiet moment. Imagine the soft glow of candles against stone. And let's tread deeper into the convent's world, where even your clothes are a test of endurance. You notice the discomfort of your habit more acutely now, its weight a constant companion. The wool is thick, undyed, and prickly, designed for modesty, not comfort. It chafes at your neck and wrists, leaving red marks you try not to scratch. Beneath it, your linen shift offers little relief, thin and patched from years of use. You long for something softer, silk, perhaps, or even the homespun cotton of your old life. But such thoughts are dangerous. Sister Agnes would say, a whisper of vanity that could taint your soul. You glance at the other nuns, their habits identical, their faces serene despite the itch you know they feel. You wonder how they bear it, or if they've simply forgotten what comfort feels like. The habit isn't just clothing, it's a symbol, governed by strict rules that reach beyond the convent's walls. In the 12th century, sumptuary laws, regulations dictating what people could wear based on status, extended to religious orders. Historians note a key moment, the Council of Nablus in 1120, which reinforced dress codes for nuns, mandating plain, coarse fabrics to reflect humility and obedience. These laws weren't just about piety, they were about control, ensuring nuns remained visibly separate from the secular world. You feel that separation now, the wool a barrier between you and the life you once knew. Your old shawl, the one your mother embroidered, is long gone, burned or given to the poor. You try not to think about it, but the memory stings. There's an odd detail that catches your attention though. Amidst the monotony of wool and wimples, you notice Sister Beatrice adjusting her scapular, the long strip of cloth that hangs over her habit, with a subtle flourish, as if trying to make it drape just so. Later, in the refectory, you spot another nun, Sister Clara, tucking a stray lock of hair under her wimple with a practiced flick. These tiny acts of care, almost invisible, are a quiet defiance of the rule that appearance shouldn't matter. You try it yourself, smoothing your habit's folds before Vespers, and feel a flicker of pride when it hangs neatly. It's silly, you know, but in a world where so little is yours, these small gestures feel like reclaiming a piece of yourself. The habit shapes your day in ways you hadn't expected. It's heavy when you kneel for prayers, dragging at your shoulders during the long hours of the divine office. It snags on the rough benches in the chapel, catches on door frames, and soaks up the damp of the cloister's stone floors. By midday, your skin is raw where the wool rubs, and you're tempted to loosen your wimple, just for a moment. But Sister Agnes's eyes are everywhere, and you've seen what happens to nuns who break the rules. A week of scrubbing latrines or reciting psalms until their voices crack. You think of modern clothing, soft jeans, breathable cotton, and the thought feels like a betrayal, a longing for a world you're supposed to renounce. The chapel offers a brief distraction. The stained glass window glows with midday light, casting patches of color across the stone floor. The air smells of incense and wax, a faint sweetness that soothes your frayed nerves. You notice small things. The way the candle's flames flicker in unison, the soft creak of the wooden pews, the faint hum of the nuns' chants. These details ground you, keeping you from spiraling into frustration. You think of modern comforts, heated blankets, fuzzy socks, and wonder how you'd explain this life to someone from your time. They'd probably think you're mad for enduring it. Scholars still debate whether the strict dress codes for nuns were about spiritual purity or social control. Some argue the habits fostered unity and discipline, creating a shared identity. Others say they erased individuality, turning women into symbols rather than people. You feel both sides in the weight of your wool, the way it hides you and defines you at once. You wonder if you'll ever get used to it, or if the itch will always remind you of what you've lost. Here's a gentle jest to lift the mood. You imagine telling Sister Beatrice her wimple makes her look like a particularly pious pigeon. She'd probably snort and get you both in trouble. Another thought, you wonder if the convent's sheep, who provide the wool, are secretly smug about their role in your discomfort. And one more. Adjusting your habit feels like trying to style a potato sack for a fashion show. You bite back a smile, knowing laughter is a luxury you can't afford. As the day ends, you stand in the cloister. The evening air sharp with the scent of herbs from the garden. Your habit feels heavier now, damp from a brief rain, but you notice something new, the way it moves with you, like a second skin. It's not comfortable, but it's yours, a part of this strange, unyielding life. You glance at Sister Beatrice, who offers a quick hand signal, a flick of her fingers, a silent, "You're doing fine." It's enough to keep you going. You lie on your cot that night, the wool scratching at your neck, and listen to the wind outside. The convent is a hard place, but it's teaching you to find strength in small things, the drape of a scapular, the glow of a candle. For now, you close your eyes and let the quiet carry you to sleep. Part 5. You rise to the bell's insistent clang, the sound as familiar now as your own heartbeat. The dormitory is a blur of cold air and dim shapes. The other nuns pulling on their habits with practiced ease. Your own wool habit feels like a leaden shroud, its scratchy fibers a reminder of yesterday's discomforts. You adjust your wimple, the cloth tugging at your ears, and slip on your shoes, their thin soles no match for the icy flagstones. Outside, the morning is still dark, the cloister garden shimmering with dew under a sliver of moon. Good evening, dear listener. Settle into this quiet hour. Imagine the soft clink of a spoon against a bowl. And let's step deeper into the convent's world, where even a meal is a lesson in sacrifice. You shuffle to the refectory, the air thick with the smell of wood smoke and something faintly sour, like old grain. The long table is set with wooden bowls and spoons, each one chipped and worn. You sit, hands folded, as Sister Agnes reads from a psalter, her voice a low drone. The meal is simple. A slice of rye bread, so dense it could double as a doorstop, and a thin stew of cabbage and barley. You dip your spoon, the broth watery and tasteless, and chew the bread. Its grit catching in your teeth. You think of modern meals, pizza, creamy pasta, a cold soda, and the thought feels like a sin, a longing for a world you're meant to forget. The other nuns eat in silence, their faces blank, though you catch Sister Beatrice wrinkling her nose at the stew's smell. The sparse diet isn't just a quirk of convent life. It's a deliberate choice, rooted in the Benedictine rule's emphasis on moderation. By the 12th century, monastic communities across Europe followed strict dietary guidelines, especially during Lent or fasting days, which seemed to come more often than not. Historians point to a key event, the Synod of Aachen in 816, which formalized fasting rules for religious orders, limiting meals to 1 or 2 a day and banning meat for most of the year. You feel the weight of that history in your empty stomach, the way hunger gnaws at your focus during sex prayers. You're not starving, not quite, but you're never full, and that constant edge of want is its own kind of discipline. There's a curious detail, though, that adds a spark to the refectory's gloom. You notice Sister Clara, the sharp-eyed nun, slipping a small vial from her sleeve during dinner. She sprinkles a pinch of something, dried herbs, maybe, into her stew, her movements quick and covert. Later, you learn from Sister Beatrice's hand signals that some nuns brew herbal concoctions in the infirmary, not for medicine but to make the food bearable. Chamomile for flavor, mint for freshness. Even a risky dash of fennel smuggled from the garden. It's forbidden, of course. Any tampering with God's provision is a minor sin, but you admire the ingenuity. You try it yourself the next day, crushing a sprig of thyme between your fingers and dusting it into your bowl. The taste is faint, but it's yours, a tiny act of defiance that warms you more than the stew. The meals shape your days, marking time as surely as the divine office. Breakfast, if you get it, is a crust of bread and ale so weak it's barely more than water. Dinner, the main meal, is the stew and bread, sometimes with a sliver of cheese on feast days. Supper is rare, reserved for summer when days are longer. You learn to eat slowly, to make each bite last, but hunger lingers like an unwelcome guest. You think of the convent's kitchen, where nuns labor over cauldrons, their hands red from chopping turnips. You wonder if they sneak tastes when Sister Agnes isn't looking. The thought almost makes you smile, but you catch yourself, knowing a grin could earn a lecture on frivolity. The refectory itself is a study in austerity. The walls are bare, save for a wooden cross, and the benches creak under your weight. The air smells of damp wood and the faint tang of boiled cabbage, a scent that clings to your habit. You notice small things. A knot in the table's grain, shaped like a lopsided heart, the way the candlelight dances on the ceiling, the soft clink of spoons, the only sound besides Sister Agnes's reading. These details anchor you, keeping you from sinking into hunger's fog. You think of modern kitchens, microwaves, spice racks, the hum of a fridge, and wonder how you'd describe this meal to someone from your time. They'd probably gag at the thought of cabbage stew. Scholars still debate whether the convent's sparse diet was meant to purify the soul or simply cut costs. Some argue it fostered spiritual clarity, freeing nuns from bodily desires. Others say it was a practical choice, as convents often relied on meager donations or their own gardens. You feel both truths in your hollow stomach. The hunger sharpens your prayers, but it also makes you dream of bread that doesn't break your teeth. You wonder if you'll ever stop craving more, or if want is just another vow you've taken. Here's a soft jest to lighten the mood. You imagine telling Sister Beatrice the stew tastes like a monk's bad poetry, thin and uninspired. She'd probably choke on her bread. Another thought, you wonder if the convent's chickens, who provide the rare egg, cluck smugly about their culinary power. And one more, sneaking herbs feels like pulling off a medieval heist, with Sister Agnes as the unsuspecting guard. You press your lips together, hiding a smirk. As the day ends, you kneel in the chapel for Compline, the candlelight soft against the stone walls. Your stomach grumbles, loud enough to make Sister Clara glance your way, but you're too tired to care. The hunger is part of you now, like the wool habit or the iron ring. You glance at Sister Beatrice, who offers a quick hand signal, a pinch of her fingers, mimicking the herb sprinkling trick. It's enough to make you feel less alone. You lie on your cot that night, the straw poking through the mattress, and listen to the wind outside. The convent is a hard place, but it's teaching you to savor small things, a pinch of time, a shared glance. For now, you close your eyes and let the quiet carry you to sleep. Part 6. You stir at the bell's harsh clang, the sound pulling you from a dream of open fields and warm bread. The dormitory is cold. The air sharp with frost, and your breath clouds as you reach for your habit. The wool is as unforgiving as ever, its rough weave chafing your skin, and your wimple pinches as you tie it. Your iron ring glints faintly in the dark, a cold weight on your finger. Outside, the cloister garden is silent, its herbs and vegetables cloaked in early mist. Good evening. Dear listener, settle into this quiet dawn, imagine the earthy scent of turned soil, and let's walk deeper into the convent's world, where labor is both penance and prayer. Today, you're sent to the garden, a patch of land tucked behind the chapel. The prioress assigns you to weed and hoe, a task meant to humble your spirit. You grip the wooden hoe, its handle worn smooth by countless hands, and start breaking the soil. The ground is hard, studded with stones, and your palms blister within an hour. The air smells of damp earth and crushed thyme, a faint sweetness that cuts through the convent's usual mustiness. You think of modern gardening, gloves, ergonomic tools, a quick trip to a store for seeds, and the thought feels like a betrayal. A longing for ease you're supposed to renounce. The other nuns work nearby, their habits streaked with dirt, their faces set in quiet focus. Sister Beatrice, weeding a row of leeks, catches your eye and flicks a hand signal, a quick point to her back, a silent complaint about the ache. The garden isn't just a source of food, it's a spiritual exercise, rooted in the Benedictine rules call for manual labor. By the 12th century, convents relied heavily on their gardens to survive, especially those with meager endowments. Historians highlight a key record from this era, a 1178 manuscript by Hildegard of Bingen, a German nun, detailing medicinal herbs grown in convent gardens. Her work, Physica, describes plants like sage and fennel, used for both healing and flavor. You see those herbs now, their leaves brushing your fingers as you work, and wonder if this garden holds secrets like Hildegard's. The thought gives your labor a flicker of purpose, though your blisters beg to differ. There's a quirky detail that catches your attention amidst the toil. You notice Sister Clara, the herb-sprinkling nun, lingering by a patch of lavender. She plucks a sprig and tucks it into her sleeve, her movements swift and practiced. Later, Sister Beatrice whispers, breaking the silence rule, that some nuns hide lavender in their bedding for its calming scent, a small comfort against the straw mattress's itch. It's forbidden, of course. Personal indulgences are sins, however small. You try it yourself, slipping a lavender sprig into your habit's fold. Its faint perfume clings to you through vespers, a secret that feels like a stolen breath of freedom. The garden shapes your days, its demands as relentless as the divine office. You weed, plant, and harvest, your hands growing calloused, your back aching from hours bent over rows of turnips and cabbage. The sun is weak today, barely warming your skin, and the soil clings to your hem, weighing your habit down. You think of the kitchen, where your harvest will become another watery stew, maybe with a pinch of those smuggled herbs. You remember Sister Clara's fennel trick from the refectory. Does she grow it here, in some hidden corner? The thought almost makes you smile, but you catch yourself, knowing Sister Agnes is watching from the cloister. The garden's beauty offers a quiet reprieve. A blackbird perches on a fence post, its song sharp and clear, and the herbs glow in the morning light, their leaves edged with dew. You notice small things, a worm curling in the soil, the way the lavender sways in the breeze, the faint hum of bees near a patch of clover. These details ground you, keeping you from sinking into exhaustion. You think of modern parks, manicured lawns, benches, the chatter of joggers, and wonder how you'd explain this labor to someone from your time. They'd probably balk at the blisters, the dirt, the endless hours for a handful of leeks. Scholars still debate whether convent labor was meant to build character or simply sustain the community. Some argue it gave nuns agency, a tangible role in their survival. Others say it was another form of control, tying women to grueling tasks under the guise of piety. You feel both truths in your aching hands. The garden feeds you, but it also chains you to the earth. leaving little room for rest. You wonder if you'll ever see this work as prayer, or if it will always feel like punishment. Here's a soft jest to ease the strain. You imagine telling Sister Beatrice the turnips look like grumpy old monks, all lumpy and bald. She'd probably drop her hoe laughing. Another thought, you wonder if the garden's bees keep their own vow of silence, buzzing just to spite the prioress. And one more, hiding lavender feels like smuggling perfume into a prison. A tiny act of rebellion that smells divine. You press your lips together, hiding a grin. As the day ends, you kneel in the chapel for Compline, the lavender's scent still faint on your habit. Your hands throb, dirt lodged under your nails, but there's a strange pride in the pain. You grew something today, even if it's just a row of leeks. You glance at Sister Beatrice, who offers a quick hand signal, a fist bumped against her chest, a silent, "Good work." It's enough to keep you going. You lie on your cot that night, the straw poking through, and listen to the wind rustling the garden. The convent is a hard place, but it's teaching you to find meaning in small things, a sprig of lavender, a shared ache. For now, you close your eyes and let the quiet carry you to sleep. Part 7. You wake to the bell's sharp toll, its echoes slicing through the pre-dawn chill. The dormitory is a haze of cold air and dim shapes, the other nuns rising like shadows. Your habit, stiff with yesterday's garden dirt, chafes as you pull it on, and your wimple tugs at your ears, a familiar irritation. The iron ring on your finger feels colder today, pinching your skin. Outside, the cloister is quiet, the garden's herbs shrouded in mist that glows faintly under the stars. Good evening. Dear listener, settle into this hushed moment, imagine the flicker of a quill on parchment, and let's slip deeper into the convent's world, where even your mind is put to work. Today, you're assigned to the scriptorium, a small room off the cloister where the air smells of ink and old leather. You sit at a slanted desk, a quill in one hand, a psalter open before you. Your task is to copy its Latin verses, each letter a prayer in itself. The quill is unwieldy, its feather tickling your wrist, and the ink, made from oak galls and soot, stains your fingers black. You hunch over the parchment, your back aching within an hour, the candlelight casting jittery shadows on the wall. You think of modern tools, laptops, printers, spell check, and the thought feels like a sin, a longing for ease you're meant to forsake. Sister Clara, at the next desk, scratches away with steady precision, her face calm despite the tedious work. The scriptorium is more than a workplace. It's a cornerstone of monastic life, preserving knowledge in an age when books are rarer than gold. By the 12th century, convents across Europe were key centers of manuscript production, copying religious texts and occasionally secular ones. Historians point to a key figure, Herrat of Hohenburg, a 12th century nun whose illustrated manuscript, Hortus Deliciarum, blended theology and art. You imagine her bent over a desk like yours, her quill dancing across the page. Your own work is humbler, a psalter for the chapel, but it carries the same weight, each word a link in a chain of faith. Yet your hand cramps, and the Latin blurs before your tired eyes. You wonder if you'll ever get it right. There's an odd detail that catches your attention amidst the monotony. You notice Sister Beatrice, copying a missal. Pause to doodle in the margin, a tiny flower, no bigger than a thumbnail. She catches your eye and quickly covers it, but later you spot other quirks, a nun's initials hidden in a flourish, a line of nonsense Latin tucked beneath a psalm. These marginalia, as scholars call them, are the nun's secret signatures, a way to claim a sliver of individuality in work meant to be anonymous. You try it yourself, sketching a lopsided star at the page's edge. It's childish, but it feels like planting a flag in a foreign land, a quiet, "I was here." The scriptorium shapes your days. Its demands as relentless as the garden's. You copy until your fingers ache, the candle's tallow dripping onto the desk, its smoky scent mingling with the tang of ink. The room is silent, save for the scratch of quills and the occasional cough. You think of the refectory's watery stew, the lavender sprig you hid in your habit, small rebellions that feel distant now. under Sister Agnes's watchful gaze. She paces the room, her eyes sharp, correcting your uneven script with a TSK. You remember Sister Beatrice's hand signals from the chapel. You wish you could flick one now, a silent plea for a break. But the scriptorium allows no such shortcuts. The room itself is a study in contrasts. The walls are bare. Yet the manuscripts glow with color, red and blue initials, gold leaf that catches the light. The air is heavy with the smell of parchment, a musky warmth that cuts through the convent's damp chill. You notice small things, a crack in the desk's wood, shaped like a crescent moon, the way the candle's flame sways when Sister Clara turns a page, the faint creak of the stool beneath you. These details anchor you, keeping you from drowning in the endless lines of Latin. You think of modern libraries, bright lights, coffee shops, the hum of Wi-Fi, and wonder how you'd explain this labor to someone from your time. They'd probably marvel at the patience, or pity the strain. Scholars still debate whether the scriptorium empowered nuns or burdened them. Some argue it offered intellectual freedom, a rare chance for women to engage with texts. Others say it was just another chore, chaining nuns to desks under the guise of piety. You feel both truths in your cramped hand. The work is meaningful, but it's also exhausting, leaving no room for your own thoughts. You wonder if you'll ever love it, or if it will always feel like a duty you didn't choose. Here's a gentle jest to lighten the mood. You imagine telling Sister Beatrice your script looks like a chicken tried to write poetry. She'd probably smudge her ink laughing. Another thought, you wonder if the scriptorium's mice, who nibble the parchment edges, are the real artists here, leaving their own marginalia. And one more, hiding a doodle feels like sneaking a post-it note into a sacred text, a tiny act of mischief. You press your lips together, hiding a smile. As the day ends, you kneel in the chapel for Compline, the candlelight soft against the stained glass. Your fingers are still stained with ink. Your stardoodle a secret you carry. The work was hard, but there's a quiet pride in it. You made something today, even if it's just a page of Psalms. You glance at Sister Beatrice, who offers a quick hand signal, a tap on her wrist, a silent, "Well done." It's enough to keep you going. You lie on your cot that night, the straw poking through, and listen to the wind outside. The convent is a hard place, but it's teaching you to find joy in small things, a hidden star, a shared glance. For now, you close your eyes and let the quiet carry you to sleep. Part 8. You awaken to the bell's relentless clang, its echoes sharp in the pre-dawn chill. The dormitory is a blur of cold air and moving shadows, the other nuns pulling on their habits with quiet efficiency. Your own habit, stiff with scriptorium ink and garden dirt, scratches as you dress, and your wimple pinches your ears as you tie it. The iron ring on your finger feels like a small anchor, grounding you in this life you're still learning to navigate. Outside, the cloister is hushed, the garden's herbs silvered with frost under a fading moon. Good evening, dear listener. Settle into this tranquil hour. Imagine the soft rustle of wool in the dark. And let's drift deeper into the convent's world, where even friendship is a risk. You've begun to notice Sister Beatrice more. Her quick hand signals and subtle smiles a lifeline in the convent's silence. Today, as you kneel in the chapel for lauds, she slips you a small gift, a pebble, smooth and gray, tucked into your palm during a hymn. It's a forbidden act, a particular friendship, the prioress warns against, but its weight in your pocket feels like a secret worth keeping. You catch Beatrice's eye across the chapel, her face half lit by candlelight, and feel a warmth that has nothing to do with the wool habit. You think of modern friendships, text messages, coffee dates, easy laughter, and the thought stings, a reminder of how fragile connection is here. The pebble, cool against your fingers, is your only tether to her. Friendships in the convent are a delicate dance, governed by rules as strict as those for prayer or dress. By the 12th century, church authorities viewed close bonds between nuns with suspicion, fearing they could lead to distraction or worse, sin. Historians point to a key event, a 1177 decree from the Archbishop of Canterbury, which cracked down on, excessive familiarity, in women's monasteries, urging prioresses to enforce separation. You feel that scrutiny now, in the way Sister Agnes watches you and Beatrice, her eyes narrowing when you linger too long after Vespers. The pebble in your pocket feels heavier. A silent rebellion against the rule that you should love God alone. There's a quirky detail that softens the tension. You notice Beatrice has a habit of braiding bits of straw from her mattress into tiny knots, which she hides under her cot. During a rare moment in the cloister, she shows you one, a lopsided star. Like your scriptorium doodle. She whispers, risking a penance, that it's her way of remembering her sister, left behind in the village. You try it yourself. Twisting straw into a clumsy knot during the night's silence. It's a small act, but it feels like a thread tying you to Beatrice, to something human in this place of stone and rules. You tuck the knot under your mattress, next to the pebble, and hope Sister Agnes never finds it. The risk of friendship shapes your days, a constant balance between connection and caution. You and Beatrice steal moments, hand signals in the garden, a shared glance during the refectory's watery stew, a brush of fingers when passing a psalter. Each one is a spark, but also a danger. You think of the refectory's herb-sprinkling trick, the lavender in your habit. Those were rebellions of the body, but this is one of the heart. You remember Sister Clara's fennel. Sister Beatrice's doodle. The convent is full of secrets, but none feel as heavy as this. You wonder what would happen if the prioress caught you. A week of solitary prayer or worse. A public reprimand in the chapter house. The chapel offers a fleeting refuge. The stained glass window glows with morning light, casting flecks of blue across the stone floor. The air smells of wax and incense, a faint sweetness that calms your nerves. You notice small things, a loose thread on Beatrice's wimple, swaying like a tiny pendulum. The way the candle's flames flicker in unison, the soft hum of the chants, weaving you into the group. These details anchor you, keeping you from spiraling into fear. You think of modern social media, likes, comments, the ease of staying connected, and wonder how you'd explain this friendship to someone from your time. They'd probably see the pebble as a trinket, not a treasure. Scholars still debate whether the Church's fear of friendships was about spiritual purity or social control. Some argue the rules protected nuns from emotional distractions, fostering devotion. Others say they isolated women, denying them the community that could have sustained them. You feel both truths in your racing heart. The pebble is a comfort, but it also makes you vulnerable, a secret that could unravel you. You wonder if you'll ever find a balance, or if friendship will always feel like a theft. Here's a gentle jest to ease the weight. You imagine telling Beatrice her straw knots could start a medieval craft fair. She'd probably giggle and get you both scrubbing floors. Another thought, you wonder if the chapel's doves, cooing in the rafters, are the only ones here allowed to bond freely. And one more, the pebble feels like a medieval text message, small but loaded with meaning. You bite back a smile, knowing laughter could betray you. As the day ends, you kneel in the chapel for Compline, the candlelight pooling like liquid gold. The pebble is still in your pocket, the straw knot safe under your cot. You glance at Beatrice, who offers a quick hand signal, a finger tapped against her heart, a silent, "We're okay." It's enough to keep you steady. You lie on your cot that night, the straw poking through, and listen to the wind outside. The convent is a hard place, but it's teaching you to cherish small things, a pebble, a knot, a stolen glance. For now, you close your eyes and let the quiet carry you to sleep. Part 9. You're roused by the bell's unyielding clang, its echoes sharp in the darkness. The dormitory is cold, the air biting at your fingers as you fumble for your habit. The wool, crusted with scriptorium ink and garden dirt, scratches your skin, and your wimple tugs at your ears as you tie it. The iron ring on your finger feels heavier today, a cold reminder of vows that bind you. Outside, the cloister is silent, the garden's frost glittering under a waning moon. Good evening. Dear listener, settle into this quiet hour, imagine the chill of stone underfoot, and let's wander deeper into the convent's world, where winter's bite tests your resolve. Winter has settled over the convent like a heavy cloak, its cold seeping into every corner. You shuffle to matins, your breath clouding in the chapel's icy air. The candle's flames too weak to warm you. Your habit, thick as it is, does little against the chill, and your thin shoes let the cold stones steal the feeling from your toes. The dormitory is worse, no fire, no hearth, just a thin blanket that smells of mildew. You lie awake at night, shivering, your teeth chattering despite your best efforts to stay still. You think of modern comforts, electric heaters, fluffy duvets, a steaming mug of tea, and the thought feels like a sin, a longing for warmth you're meant to renounce. The other nuns seem unbothered. Or at least they hide it well, their faces serene as they kneel in prayer. The cold isn't just discomfort, it's a fact of monastic life, shaped by the era's harsh realities. In the 12th century, convents rarely had the resources for proper heating, relying on small braziers or nothing at all. Historians note a grim detail. During the harsh winter of 1142, records from a French convent described nuns suffering frostbite, their fingers too numb to hold quills or knead bread. You feel that history now, in the way your hands ache as you grip the psalter. The Latin blurring before your frost-stung eyes. The prioress urges you to offer the cold to God, a sacrifice for your soul, but you're not sure your soul feels any holier for it. You just want to stop shaking. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye amidst the chill. You notice Sister Beatrice and a few others huddling closer than allowed during Compline. Their shoulders brushing as they share a single blanket. It's against the rules. Personal comfort and particular friendships are forbidden, but the prioress turns a blind eye. Perhaps feeling the cold herself. You try it one night, inching toward Beatrice on the dormitory bench. The blanket's course weave a shared shield against the frost. Her warmth is a quiet gift, like the pebble she gave you, and you tuck the memory away, next to the straw not under your cot. It's a small rebellion, but in this frozen world, it feels like stealing fire. The cold shapes your days, a constant presence that slows your steps and clouds your thoughts. You move through prayers, your voice hoarse from the dry air, and labor in the garden, where the soil is hard as iron. The refectory's watery stew is colder now, barely lukewarm by the time you eat, and you remember Sister Clara's herb trick. Does fennel warm the belly? Or just the spirit? You think of the scriptorium, where ink freezes in its pot, and the chapel, where your knees ache against the icy stone. You recall the lavender sprig in your habit. Its scent faded but still a comfort. The cold makes everything harder, sharpening the convent's edges until they cut. The cloister offers a stark beauty, though. The frost traces patterns on the stone arches, like lace spun by an unseen hand, and the garden's bare branches gleam under the weak sun. You notice small things. A sparrow fluffing its feathers against the cold, the way your breath curls in the air, the faint creak of ice in the courtyard's fountain. These details anchor you, keeping you from sinking into despair. You think of modern winters, snow boots, hot chocolate, the hum of a radiator, and wonder how you'd explain this cold to someone from your time. They'd probably bundle you in a coat and call it madness. Scholars still debate whether the convent's austerity was meant to purify or punish. Some argue enduring hardships like cold built spiritual resilience, a way to mimic Christ's suffering. Others say it was a practical necessity, as convents scraped by on meager funds. You feel both truths in your numb fingers. The cold is a kind of prayer, but it also makes you feel abandoned, a soul forgotten in the frost. You wonder if you'll ever embrace it, or if warmth will always be a dream. Here's a soft jest to thaw the mood. You imagine telling Beatrice the prioress's wimple looks like a snowdrift with opinions. She'd probably snort and get you both scrubbing pots. Another thought, you wonder if the garden's rabbits, burrowed deep, are the only ones here warm and smug. And one more. Sharing a blanket feels like a medieval sleepover, all secrecy and stolen comfort. You press your lips together, hiding a smile. As the day ends, you kneel in the chapel for Compline. The cold stone biting through your habit. The blanket sharing moment lingers, a warmth you carry inside. You glance at Beatrice, who offers a quick hand signal, a shiver mimicking shake of her shoulders, a silent, "We'll survive." It's enough to keep you steady. You lie on your cot that night, the straw poking through, and listen to the wind howling outside. The convent is a hard place, but it's teaching you to find solace in small things, a shared blanket, a pebble, a glance. For now, you close your eyes and let the quiet carry you to sleep. Part 10. You're pulled from sleep by the bell's sharp clang, its echo cutting through the winter's chill. The dormitory is a frozen haze. The air's so cold it stings your lungs as you reach for your habit. The wool, stiff with frost and old ink, chafes your skin, and your wimple pinches as you tie it, your fingers clumsy with cold. The iron ring on your finger feels like ice, a constant reminder of your vows. Outside, the cloister is still, the garden's bare branches etched against the gray dawn. Good evening. Dear listener, settle into this quiet moment. Imagine the faint rustle of forbidden pages, and let's slip deeper into the convent's world, where even a glance at the wrong book is a rebellion. Today, you're back in the scriptorium, but your task shifts. Sister Agnes hands you a stack of parchments to sort, her eyes sharp as she warns you to touch only what's permitted. Among the psalters and missals, you spot something different, a slim volume, its cover worn, tucked beneath a pile. Curiosity, that old temptation, nudges you. When Agnes steps away, you open it, heart pounding, and find poetry, not prayers, Latin verses about love and spring, words that sing of a world beyond these walls. You read a line, then another, the forbidden words warm as sunlight. You think of modern libraries, e-readers, cozy armchairs, no fear of punishment, and the thought feels like a betrayal, a longing for freedom you're meant to forsake. This act of defiance isn't unique. It's part of a hidden tradition in monastic life. By the 12th century, some nuns risked severe penalties to read secular texts, from Ovid's love poems to chivalric tales. Historians point to a key case. In 1160, a nun at a German convent was disciplined for copying excerpts of The Art of Love. Her punishment recorded in the prioress's log: solitary confinement, and a month of bread and water. You feel that risk now, the poetry book heavy in your hands, its pages a siren call. You slip it back under the pile, but not before memorizing a line about blooming roses. Sister Beatrice, at the next desk, catches your eye. Her hand signal, a quick tap on her temple, warning you to be careful. You nod, pulse racing. There's a quirky detail that lightens the moment. You notice Sister Clara, sorting her own stack. Pause to trace a finger over a manuscript's illuminated initial, a glowing red A, twined with vines. She doesn't read it, just admires the art, her face softening for a moment. Later, Beatrice whispers that some nuns collect these moments, hoarding glimpses of beauty like magpies with shiny trinkets. You try it yourself, lingering over a psalter's blue and gold border. Its colors a fleeting escape from the convent's gray. It's not the poetry book, but it's yours, a secret you carry through the day's prayers. You tuck the rose-lined memory next to the pebble and straw knot in your mind, a growing collection of rebellions. These small acts shape your days, each one a tightrope walk between duty and desire. You move through the divine office, your voice hoarse from cold, and labor in the refectory, where the stew is as tasteless as ever. You think of Sister Clara's fennel trick. The lavender in your habit, the blanket shared against the frost, each a defiance, but none as bold as those forbidden verses. The scriptorium is quieter now. The nuns' quills scratching like distant insects, and you wonder if Beatrice has her own secrets, hidden in her doodles or signals. You recall the pebble she gave you. Its smooth weight still in your pocket. Does she know about the poetry? Would she read it too? The scriptorium's air is thick with the smell of parchment and wax. The candlelight casting long shadows. You notice small things, a smudge of ink on your thumb shaped like a lopsided star, the way Clara's quill trembles when she's tired. The faint creak of the desk as you shift your weight. These details ground you, keeping you from spiraling into fear of discovery. You think of modern bookstores, paperbacks, audiobooks. The freedom to read anything, and wonder how you'd explain this risk to someone from your time. They'd probably call it thrilling, not terrifying, but they haven't felt Sister Agnes's gaze. Scholars still debate whether these acts of intellectual rebellion were sparks of agency or mere recklessness. Some argue they gave nuns a voice, a way to reclaim their minds. Others say they were futile, inviting punishment for fleeting moments of freedom. You feel both truths in your racing heart. The poetry warmed you, but its memory could burn you if caught. You wonder if you'll seek it again, or if fear will keep you in line. Here's a soft jest to ease the tension. You imagine telling Beatrice the poetry book is spicier than the prioress's sermons. She'd probably choke on her ink. Another thought, you wonder if the scriptorium spiders, weaving webs in the rafters, are the only ones here reading freely. And one more. Sneaking a verse feels like hacking a medieval firewall, all thrill and danger. You press your lips together, hiding a smirk. As the day ends, you kneel in the chapel for Compline. The candlelight soft against the stone. The poetry's rose line lingers in your mind, a secret as precious as Beatrice's pebble. You glance at her, who offers a quick hand signal, a finger crossed over her heart, a silent, "Stay safe." It's enough to keep you steady. You lie on your cot that night, the straw poking through, and listen to the wind howling outside. The convent is a hard place, but it's teaching you to hoard small treasures, a line of verse, a shared signal, a moment of defiance. For now, you close your eyes and let the quiet carry you to sleep. Part 11. You're stirred awake by the bell's piercing clang, its echoes slicing through the winter's darkness. The dormitory is a frozen blur. The air so sharp it nips at your skin as you reach for your habit. The wool, crusted with scriptorium ink and frost, scratches your arms, and your wimple tugs at your ears as you tie it. Fingers stiff with cold. The iron ring on your finger feels like a shard of ice, anchoring you to this relentless life. Outside, the cloister is hushed. The garden's bare branches glistening with ice under a pale dawn. Good evening, dear listener. Settle into this crisp moment. Imagine the warm glow of honey bread. And let's step deeper into the convent's world, where a rare feast day brings a fleeting taste of joy. Today is a feast day, a rare break in the convent's austerity. It's the feast of St. Agnes. And the prioress has declared a celebration, music, a richer meal, even a fire in the refectory. You file into the chapel for lauds, your breath clouding in the chilly air. But there's a lightness in the nuns' steps. The chants are brighter, accompanied by a small harp played by Sister Clara, its notes soft as falling snow. After prayers, you head to the refectory, where the table is set with wonders, bread glazed with honey, a wedge of sharp cheese, and a stew thickened with lentils and a hint of smuggled fennel. You take a bite of the bread, its sweetness bursting on your tongue, and think of modern feasts, Thanksgiving dinners, birthday cakes, fizzy drinks. The contrast feels like a guilty pleasure, but you savor it anyway. Feast days were cherished in monastic life, a brief respite from the Benedictine rule's rigor. By the 12th century, convents marked major saints' days with special meals and music. As recorded in chronicles from the period, historians highlight a specific event, a 1184 account from an English convent describing a lavish feast for Saint Cecilia, complete with spiced wine and choral performances, funded by a local noble's donation. You feel that history now, in the warmth of the refectory's fire. Its crackle a rare comfort against the winter's bite. The honey bread is a luxury, and you notice Sister Beatrice's eyes light up as she takes a second piece. Her hand signal, a quick thumbs up, mirroring your own delight. Even Sister Agnes seems softer today, her usual frown softened by the harp's melody. There's a quirky detail that catches your attention amidst the celebration. You spot Sister Clara slipping a crumb of cheese into her sleeve, her movements sly as ever. Later, Beatrice whispers that some nuns save feast day treats, hiding them in their cots for leaner days. It's a minor sin, hoarding is forbidden, but you understand the impulse. You try it yourself. Tucking a sliver of bread into your habit's fold, its sticky warmth a secret you'll savor later. It feels like the poetry book you read, the pebble Beatrice gave you. The straw knot under your cot, a growing collection of small defiances that make this life bearable. You wonder if Clara's cheese will last, or if the dormitory's mice will claim it first. The feast day shapes your hours, a rare rhythm of ease. You linger in the refectory, the fire's glow painting the walls gold, and join a soft hymn led by the harp. The music is a balm, easing the ache of cold mornings and endless prayers. You think of the scriptorium's forbidden verses, the garden's lavender, the blanket shared against the frost, each a spark, but none as open as this shared joy. The stew, flavored with fennel you suspect Clara grew, warms you from within, and you recall the refectory's usual watery broth. Does every feast day taste this good, or is it just the contrast? You glance at Beatrice, who's humming under her breath, risking a reprimand. Her courage makes you smile. The refectory is alive with small details. The fire casts shadows that dance like merry spirits, and the tables wood gleams with polish, a rare touch of care. You notice the harp strings glinting in the light, and the way the cheese crumbles under your fingers, sharp and tangy. The air smells of wood smoke and honey, a sweetness that drowns out the convent's usual damp. You think of modern parties, loud music, crowded rooms, the clink of glasses, and wonder how you'd describe this feast to someone from your time. They'd probably find it quaint, but to you, it's a lifeline, a moment when the convent feels like a home. Scholars still debate whether feast days were true reprieves or just another form of control. Some argue they strengthened community, giving nuns a shared joy. Others say they were calculated, keeping nuns obedient with rare rewards. You feel both truths in your full stomach. The feast lifts your spirit, but it's fleeting, a reminder of what you lack most days. You wonder if you'll crave this warmth forever, or if you'll learn to live without it. Here's a soft jest to keep the mood light. You imagine telling Beatrice the harp sounds like a cat trying to sing opera. She'd probably choke on her cheese. Another thought, you wonder if the refectory's mice are holding their own feast, plotting to steal Clara's crumbs. And one more, hiding bread feels like smuggling dessert from a medieval buffet, all thrill and sticky fingers. You press your lips together, hiding a grin. As the day ends, you kneel in the chapel for Compline, the fire's warmth still lingering in your bones. The bread in your habit is a secret you'll savor tomorrow, a taste of today's joy. You glance at Beatrice, who offers a quick hand signal, a finger twirled like a harp string, a silent, "Wasn't that lovely?" It's enough to keep you steady. You lie on your cot that night, the straw poking through, and listen to the wind outside. The convent is a hard place, but it's teaching you to treasure small things, a honeyed crumb, a shared song, a moment of warmth. For now, you close your eyes and let the quiet carry you to sleep. Part 12. You're roused by the bell's sharp toll, its echo piercing the winter's gloom. The dormitory is a frigid haze, the air stinging your cheeks as you fumble for your habit. The wool, stiff with frost and faint traces of honeyed bread, chafes your skin, and your wimple pinches as you tie it, your fingers numb. The iron ring on your finger feels like a frozen weight, tethering you to this unyielding life. Outside, the cloister is silent, the garden's ice-crusted herbs glinting under a weak dawn. Good evening, dear listener. Settle into this chilly hour, imagine the faint scent of herbs in the air, and let's tread deeper into the convent's world, where illness tests your body as much as faith tests your soul. You've been feeling off since the feast day, a dull ache in your chest and a cough that won't quit. By midday, it's worse, your head throbs, and your limbs feel heavy, as if the cold stone floor is pulling you down. Sister Agnes notices your flushed face during sext and sends you to the infirmary, a small room off the cloister that smells of bitter herbs and damp straw. You lie on a narrow cot, the blanket thinner than the one in the dormitory, and shiver as Sister Margaret, the infirmarian, peers at you with narrowed eyes. She's stern, her hands rough but steady, and you think of modern hospitals, sterile rooms, beeping monitors, warm blankets. The contrast feels like a fever dream. A longing for care you can't have here. Illness in the convent is a serious matter, not just for the sick but for the community's survival. In the 12th century, medical knowledge was limited, blending herbal remedies with prayer. Historians note a grim event, a 1157 outbreak of fever in a French convent, recorded in a chronicle, which claimed several nuns and strained the convent's resources. You feel that vulnerability now, the way your cough echoes in the infirmary's silence. The way Margaret's frown deepens as she checks your pulse. She mutters a prayer and hands you a cup of steeped nettles. It tastes like boiled grass. You sip it, grimacing, and wonder if it's helping or just keeping you busy while God decides your fate. There's a peculiar detail that catches your attention amidst the haze. Sister Margaret places a slice of moldy bread on your chest, claiming its virtues will draw out the illness. You stare at it, the green patches stark against the stale crust, and suppress a shudder. Later, Beatrice, who sneaks a visit despite the rules, whispers that this remedy comes from an old tradition, mold as medicine, a precursor to modern penicillin. It's nonsense to her. But Margaret swears by it, and you're too weak to argue. You keep the bread in place, its musty smell mixing with the infirmary's herbal tang, and think of the fennel in the stew, the lavender in your habit. Even here, the nuns find ways to bend the rules, clinging to hope in strange forms. The infirmary shapes your days, a blur of fever and fitful sleep. You lie still, listening to the drip of melted snow outside, the soft clink of Margaret's pestle grinding herbs. Your cough worsens, rattling your chest, and you think of the scriptorium's poetry. The pebble in your pocket, the feast day's honeyed bread, small joys that feel distant now. Beatrice's visit is a risk, her hand signal, a quick pat on her heart, a silent promise to return. You want to tell her about the moldy bread, to laugh at its absurdity, but your voice is too weak, and the vow of silence holds you anyway. You wonder if you'll recover, or if the convent will bury you in the garden, next to the leeks. The infirmary's starkness is softened by small details. A sliver of light creeps through a high window, painting the wall with faint gold. The air smells of sage and something acrid, like burnt roots. You notice the cot's straw, poking through the thin mattress, and the way Margaret's shadow sways as she moves. These anchor you, keeping you from drifting into fear. You think of modern medicine, antibiotics, thermometers, the hum of a hospital, and wonder how you'd explain this care to someone from your time. They'd probably recoil at the moldy bread, but to you, it's just another strange thread in the convent's tapestry. Scholars still debate whether convent infirmaries were havens of care or places of last resort. Some argue they offered rare medical roles for women, like Margaret, who studied herbs. Others say their remedies were as likely to harm as heal, rooted in superstition. You feel both truths in your aching body. The nettles soothe your throat, but the moldy bread feels like a gamble with death. You wonder if you'll trust Margaret's cures, or if survival depends on luck alone. Here's a soft jest to lift the fog. You imagine telling Beatrice the moldy bread is the convent's worst recipe yet. She'd probably snort and get caught by Margaret. Another thought, you wonder if the infirmary's mice, sniffing the bread, are the real doctors here, plotting a heist. And one more. Sipping nettles feels like drinking a medieval energy drink, all grit and no boost. You press your lips together, hiding a weak smile. As the day ends, you lie in the infirmary, the candlelight dim against the stone walls. Beatrice's visit lingers, her signal a warmth you cling to. You glance at the moldy bread, still on your chest, and hope it's working, whatever it's supposed to do. You think of Sister Clara's fennel, the poetry's roses, the feast's harp, small rebellions that keep you human. You close your eyes, the straw poking through, and listen to the wind outside. The convent is a hard place, but it's teaching you to find strength in small things, a whispered visit, a bitter herb, a flicker of hope. For now, you let the quiet carry you to sleep. Part 13. You stir at the bell's harsh clang, its echo faint through the infirmary's thick walls. The fever has eased, leaving you weak but alive. Your cough now a dull rasp. You're still on the narrow cot, the straw mattress poking through, the air heavy with sage and the musty tang of moldy bread, Sister Margaret's strange remedy. Now discarded. Your habit, crumpled from days of illness, scratches as you shift, and the iron ring on your finger feels loose, your hands thinner from sickness. Outside, the cloister is quiet. The garden's ice melting under a timid sun. Good evening, dear listener. Settle into this fragile moment. Imagine the nervous hum of preparation, and let's walk deeper into the convent's world, where a visitor's arrival stirs both dread and duty. You're well enough to return to the dormitory, but today brings a new challenge. A bishop is coming to inspect the convent. The prioress announced it during lauds, her voice tight, and now the nuns are in a frenzy, scrubbing floors and polishing candlesticks. You're assigned to sweep the cloister, your broom stirring dust that dances in the weak light. Your body aches, still frail from fever, but you work, driven by the fear of disgrace. The air smells of wax and vinegar, a sharp contrast to the infirmary's herbal haze. You think of modern inspections, health codes, clipboards, polite smiles, and the thought feels distant. A world where scrutiny doesn't carry the weight of divine judgment. The bishop's visit is no small matter, it's a test of the convent's piety and order. In the 12th century, bishops held immense power over religious houses, enforcing reforms and rooting out lapses. Historians point to a key event, the 1179 Third Lateran Council, which mandated stricter oversight of convents, urging bishops to ensure nuns adhered to vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. You feel that pressure now, in the way Sister Agnes snaps at a nun for a crooked wimple, and the prioress's pacing as she inspects the chapel. Your own secrets, the pebble from Beatrice, the poetry's rose line, the hidden breadcrumb, feel like contraband, heavy in your heart. You sweep faster, hoping diligence will shield you from notice. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye amidst the chaos. You notice Sister Clara, tasked with cleaning the refectory, slipping a sprig of rosemary into the table's centerpiece, her movements sly as ever. Later, Beatrice whispers that some nuns hide herbs during inspections, believing their scent wards off evil airs, or softens a bishop's mood. It's superstition, frowned upon, but you admire the cunning. You try it yourself, tucking a twig of thyme into a crack in the cloister wall, its faint spice a secret offering. It feels like the lavender in your habit. The straw knot under your cot, a small act of defiance, a charm against the bishop's gaze. You wonder if Clara's rosemary will work, or if the bishop will smell only wax and fear. The preparations shape your day, a whirlwind of tasks that leave no room for rest. You sweep, then help polish the chapel's candlesticks, your hands still shaky from illness. The other nuns are tense, their hand signals hurried. Beatrice flicks her fingers to warn you of a smudge on the floor. You think of the infirmary's moldy bread, the feast day's honey, the scriptorium's poetry, moments of rebellion that feel reckless now, under the threat of inspection. The prioress's eyes are everywhere, and you recall Sister Margaret's stern hands, Sister Agnes's sharp tsks. Will the bishop see your secrets, or will he pass over them like a storm sparing a fragile crop? The cloister's stark beauty offers a fleeting calm. The melting ice drips softly, pooling on the stone arches, and the garden's herbs gleam in the pale sun. You notice small things, a sparrow pecking at a thawed patch of earth, the way the thyme scent lingers on your fingers, the faint creak of a broom against stone. These details ground you, keeping you from spiraling into panic. You think of modern audits, tax forms, performance reviews, the hum of an office, and wonder how you'd explain this dread to someone from your time. They'd probably see it as overblown, but to you, it's a trial by fire, with your soul in the balance. Scholars still debate whether episcopal visits strengthened convents or stifled them. Some argue they ensured discipline, aligning nuns with the Church's ideals. Others say they sowed fear, crushing the small freedoms that sustained monastic life. You feel both truths in your racing pulse. The bishop's presence sharpens your focus. But it also makes you hide the pebble, the poetry, the time. You wonder if you'll ever feel safe again, or if scrutiny is just another vow you've taken. Here's a soft jest to ease the strain. You imagine telling Beatrice the bishop's mitre looks like a fancy hat for a grumpy owl. She'd probably choke on her broom dust. Another thought, you wonder if the garden snails, inching along, are the only ones here unbothered by the bishop. And one more, hiding time feels like planting a medieval air freshener, all secrecy and hope. You press your lips together, hiding a smirk. As the day ends, you kneel in the chapel for Compline, the candlesticks gleaming under the bishop's imminent gaze. The time in the wall is your secret, a spark of courage. You glance at Beatrice, who offers a quick hand signal, a thumb tucked under her fingers, a silent, "We'll get through." It's enough to keep you steady. You lie on your cot that night, the straw poking through, and listen to the wind outside. The convent is a hard place, but it's teaching you to guard small things, a sprig of time, a shared signal, a flicker of defiance. For now, you close your eyes and let the quiet carry you to sleep. Part 14. You wake to the bell's insistent clang, its echo muted by the weight of last night's tension. The dormitory is cold. The air's sharp with frost, and your habit, still dusty from sweeping for the bishop's visit, chafes as you pull it on. Your wimple pinches your ears, and the iron ring on your finger feels like a quiet warning, tethering you to this life of scrutiny. Outside, the cloister is hushed, the garden's herbs softening under a pale sun, their ice melting into dew. Good evening, dear listener. Settle into this fragile dawn, imagine the faint rustle of hidden letters, and let's drift deeper into the convent's world, where whispers of change stir both hope and fear. The bishop's visit has left the convent on edge, but today brings a new ripple, rumors of reform. You overhear it in the refectory, where Sister Clara murmurs to another nun about stricter rules sweeping through the church. More silence, less food, tighter oversight. The prioress hasn't confirmed it, but her grim face during lauds speaks volumes. You ladle watery stew into your bowl, the faint tang of fennel a reminder of Clara's tricks, and feel a knot in your stomach. Change is coming, and in a place already stretched thin, it feels like a storm on the horizon. You think of modern upheavals, new policies, budget cuts, the buzz of news, and the thought feels distant. A world where change doesn't carry the weight of divine mandate. These rumors aren't idle gossip, they're rooted in a broader movement. By the 12th century, the Church was pushing for monastic reform, aiming to curb perceived laxity. Historians point to a key event, the 1215 Fourth Lateran Council, which, though slightly later, built on earlier efforts to standardize convent life, enforcing stricter enclosure and austerity. You feel the early tremors of that shift now, and the way Sister Agnes watches you more closely. Her tisk sharper when your wimple slips. The pebble in your pocket, the poetry's rose line in your mind, the time tucked in the cloister wall, these small rebellions feel riskier. As if the convent's walls are closing in. You glance at Sister Beatrice, her hand signal, a quick pinch of her fingers, urging caution. There's a quirky detail that catches your attention amidst the unease. You notice Sister Clara slipping a scrap of parchment into her sleeve during Vespers, her movements as sly as when she hid rosemary for the bishop. Later, Beatrice whispers that some nuns are smuggling letters to other convents, protesting the rumored reforms. These notes, written in coded shorthand, beg for leniency, less fasting, more warmth, a voice in their fate. It's daring, almost unthinkable, and you admire the courage. You try it yourself, scribbling a single word, mercy, on a parchment scrap in the scriptorium, then tucking it into your habit. It's a futile gesture, likely never sent, but it feels like the straw knot. The lavender sprig, a secret that keeps you whole. The rumors shape your days, a quiet current beneath the usual rhythm. You kneel through prayers, your knees aching on the cold stone, and labor in the garden, where the soil is softer now, yielding to your hoe. The refectory stew is thinner, as if the kitchen anticipates leaner times. And you think of the feast day's honey bread, a memory that stings. Beatrice's signals are sparser, her eyes wary, and you recall the infirmary's moldy bread, the bishop's looming presence. The convent feels like a held breath, waiting for the reform's hammer to fall. You wonder if Clara's letter will reach anyone, or if it'll be burned like your old shawl. The chapel offers a fleeting refuge. The stained glass window catches the midday light, casting flecks of blue across the stone floor. The air smells of wax and faint incense, a sweetness that calms your nerves. You notice small things, a loose thread on Beatrice's scapular, swaying like a tiny flag, the way the candle's flames flicker in unison. The soft creak of the pews under your weight. These details anchor you, keeping you from sinking into dread. You think of modern activism, petitions, protests, the click of a keyboard, and wonder how you'd explain this quiet rebellion to someone from your time. They'd probably call it brave, but to you, it's a whisper against a gale. Scholars still debate whether these early reform movements empowered convents or crushed them. Some argue they purified monastic life, aligning it with spiritual ideals. Others say they stripped nuns of autonomy, turning convents into prisons of piety. You feel both truths in your clenched hands. The rumors promise order, but they also threaten the small freedoms you've carved out, like the pebble, the poetry, the letter. You wonder if you'll ever feel free again, or if reform will bury your secrets under new rules. Here's a soft jest to lighten the mood. You imagine telling Beatrice the prioress's frown could scare off any reform. She'd probably stifle a laugh and get you both scrubbing pots. Another thought, you wonder if the garden sparrows, chirping freely, are mocking the convent's new silence. And one more, smuggling a letter feels like sending a medieval DM. All risk and no read receipt. You press your lips together, hiding a smirk. As the day ends, you kneel in the chapel for Compline, the candlelight soft against the stone. The parchment scrap in your habit is a secret, a spark of defiance. You glance at Beatrice, who offers a quick hand signal, a finger tapped on her wrist, a silent "Hold on." It's enough to keep you steady. You lie on your cot that night, the straw poking through, and listen to the wind outside. The convent is a hard place, but it's teaching you to cling to small things, a scribbled word, a shared glance, a flicker of hope. For now, you close your eyes and let the quiet carry you to sleep. Part 15. You're roused by the bell's familiar clang, its echo softer now, as if tempered by the morning's gentle light. The dormitory is still cold, but the air feels lighter, the frost giving way to a faint warmth. Your habit, worn thin by months of labor, scratches as you pull it on, and your wimple tugs at your ears, a ritual irritation. The iron ring on your finger catches the dim glow, a quiet symbol of the life you've endured. Outside, the cloister hums with the first signs of spring, the garden's herbs stirring under a pale sun. Good evening, dear listener. Settle into this tender dawn, imagine the soft rustle of new leaves, and let's wander one last time into the convent's world, where reflection weaves together all you've learned. You find yourself in the cloister today, not tasked with labor but given a rare hour to sit and think. You choose a stone bench near the garden, the air sweet with thyme and early violets. The rumors of reform still linger, but they've quieted, like a storm that passed without breaking. You trace the iron ring with your thumb, thinking of the vows that brought you here, silence, poverty, obedience, and how they've shaped you, worn you down, and yet strengthened you in ways you didn't expect. You think of modern moments of pause, quiet coffee shops, journaling apps, the hum of a podcast, and the thought feels distant, a world where reflection doesn't carry the weight of eternity. This moment of quiet is rare in monastic life, a chance to take stock. By the 12th century, some nuns recorded their thoughts, leaving behind memoirs that blended spirituality and personal struggle. Historians point to a key figure, Elizabeth of Skonau, a German nun whose visions and writings from the 1150s offered a glimpse into the inner life of a convent. Her work, though mystical, Spoke of doubt, resilience, and the search for meaning, feelings you recognize now, sitting here with the pebble in your pocket, the poetry's rose line in your mind. The scribbled mercy, still hidden in your habit. You're no visionary, but you feel a kinship with her, a shared need to make sense of this hard, holy place. There's a quirky detail that catches your eye amidst the stillness. You notice a small carving on the bench, barely visible, a tiny cross, etched by some long ago nun with a pin or knife. It's not grand, not like the chapel's stained glass, but it's personal, a mark of someone who sat here, thought here, lived here. You trace it with your finger. Wondering about her secrets. Did she hide lavender, smuggle letters, or steal glances at forbidden books? You add your own mark, a faint scratch beside the cross, too small to notice but yours. It feels like the straw knot, the time in the wall, the doodle in the scriptorium, a final rebellion, a whisper of, "I was here." The cloister shapes this moment. Its quiet beauty a balm after months of toil. The garden's violets nod in the breeze, their purple petals a splash of color against the stone. The air smells of earth and faint incense. A reminder of the chapel's glow. You notice small things, a ladybug crawling on the bench, the way the sunlight pools in the courtyard, the soft drip of a fountain. These details anchor you. Weaving together the convent's lessons, the silence that sharpened your senses, the labor that toughened your hands, the friendships that warmed your heart. You think of Beatrice's pebble, Clara's fennel, the feast day's harp, and how each small act of defiance kept you human. Your thoughts drift to the convent's trials, the endless prayers, the coarse wool, the watery stew. The bishop's scrutiny, the fever's grip. Each was a weight, but also a teacher, showing you how to find joy in a pinched herb, a shared blanket, a stolen verse. You recall the moldy bread in the infirmary, the rosemary for the bishop, the letters, mercy, moments when you pushed back, quietly, against the rules. You think of modern resilience, therapy, self-care, the buzz of a support group, and wonder how you'd explain this strength to someone from your time. They'd probably call it survival, but to you, it's something deeper. A faith in small things that carry you through. Scholars still debate whether the convent's hardships forged spiritual growth or merely endurance. Some argue they offered purpose, a path to transcendence. Others say they demanded too much, breaking spirits under the guise of salvation. You feel both truths in your quiet heart. The convent has tested you, but it's also given you treasures, a pebble, a rose line, a carved cross. You wonder if you'll stay here forever, or if you'll carry these lessons beyond the walls, into a world you barely remember. Here's a soft jest to close the tale. You imagine telling Beatrice the cloister's bench is the convent's best therapist, all stone and silence. She'd probably laugh and etch her own mark. Another thought, you wonder if the garden's violets are the only ones here blooming without permission. And one more, your tiny scratch feels like signing a medieval guest book, a farewell to this hard, holy place. You press your lips together, hiding a smile. As the day ends, you kneel in the chapel for Compline, the candlelight soft against the stained glass. The pebble is in your pocket. The mercy, scraps safe, the cross's memory warm. You glance at Beatrice, who offers a final hand signal, a hand cupped over her heart, a silent, "You made it." It's enough to carry you forward. You lie on your cot that night, the straw poking through, and listen to the wind outside. The convent is a hard place, but it's taught you to hold tight to small things, a carved mark, a shared signal, a quiet strength. For now, you close your eyes and let the quiet carry you to sleep,